If you love bread pudding, you are gonna love this bread pudding crock pot recipe. It's one of my favorite set it and forget it dessert recipes that everyone raves about. So first up for this bread pudding, we need, you guessed it, bread. I'm just using plain white loaf bread. Just get the classic kind. It makes the best bread pudding. We are going to dice this into cubes. I'm going to use the whole loaf today just because I love this recipe and it's going to make a lot and it's going to be great. If you want to measure it, it's about 8 cups, but you just want to dice it into cubes just about this size, and we're going to throw it in a large mixing bowl. Separate them a little bit because we are going to pour a topping on it and we want it to get around each bread to make sure it's fully coated. So when I dice it, I find the easiest way is to just do in thirds lengthwise and then in thirds the opposite way. Just get a nice big knife and just press it all the way through. With bread, you don't want to saw. I find it easier if you just press all the way down. And then throw it right in a large mixing bowl. So you need a good size one because there's going to be quite a bit of bread. So get the biggest one you got out. So now we're going to prepare the topping that goes on the bread for the bread pudding. First, we need some butter. We need 1/4 cup melted. So what I do is I just melt that in my mixing bowl so I have less dishes. 1/4 cup is about 1/2 stick. So I'm just going to dump it in. My favorite part about making desserts in the crock pot is that you don't have to be as exact with baking. The slower cooking time kind of gives you a little bit of grace and forgiveness. So I'm just going to melt this butter in this microwave right here. And then as soon as it's melted, we will mix in the remaining ingredients. So once the butter is melted, you want to let it cool slightly at room temperature just so when you add in the eggs, it doesn't scramble the eggs. Been there, done that. So let it cool off just at room temperature, but you don't want it to re-solidify. And then we're going to add 4 large eggs and go ahead and just whisk that into the butter. Ready? See you later. I love having that sink there. See if I can do it again. Yes. All right, get those eggs in and just whisk it. So I always add the eggs in first and whisk that just before adding the other ingredients. But if you're a really good whisker, you could probably get them all added and whisk them all together. Now we're gonna add in the remaining ingredients. First up, 2 cups heavy whipping cream. I do suggest you do the cream over milk just because this is desserts. You want it to be creamy, smooth, and delicious. We're going to add 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 1/4 cup granulated sugar, and then let's get some of that delicious seasoning in here that really amps up the flavor. We're going to do some ground cinnamon and then nutmeg. So on the ground cinnamon, you need a tablespoon. Make sure I have the right one here. And then on the nutmeg, it's just a teaspoon. And just those 2 ingredients really makes this so flavorful. See if I can say that word. And then just whisk it all together. Once it's all whisked together, you just pour it over the breadcrumbs. And then we're going to toss the breadcrumbs in this mixture. So you can do that one of 2 ways. If you want to use a wooden spoon or a plastic spoon, that'll work fine. These are my favorite spoons to use right here. Trust me, when you have this much stuff in a bowl, your hands work best. So just clean your hands really good, which I've done, and then just toss this bread to make sure that that mixture gets over every little piece of the bread. Once it's been fully coated, we're going to go ahead and add it to the crock pot. So remember at the beginning, we started by preheating this on high. Go ahead and kick it on down to low because we do cook this on low. If you keep it on high, it will burn. I'm going to spray the insert. This is a spray olive oil. You can use a non-stick spray as well. This is just going to make serving easier If you are using like a crock pot with a non-stick insert, I wouldn't worry about this. I'm just doing it today since I'm using a crock pot with a ceramic insert. We're just gonna give it a good spray. Beautiful, perfect. And then you just wanna dump your breadcrumb mixtures right into the crock pot and spread it out into an even layer. Again, I'm just using my hands, they're clean, don't worry. And I'm just gonna spread this out into an even layer so that it cooks evenly. Go ahead and put your lid on the crock pot, and we are gonna cook this on low for about 2.5 to 3 hours until a toothpick or a knife inserted into the center comes out clean, and that's how you know it's cooked all the way through. So this is the set it and forget it part, right? We set it, now I don't have to think about it for a couple of hours while I get everything else ready if I'm having a party or an event, and we'll come back and it'll be delicious and ready to serve. It's been cooking for about 3 hours on low, and I want to show you how to know when it's done. So use a knife over a toothpick because the bread and all that is kind of the color of a toothpick, so it's hard to see on a toothpick. But you just want to insert the knife in and make sure that it's pretty clean. Like this is okay because you want it to be nice and moist, but if it's a ton on there, you know that it needs more time cooking. Another way you can check is to gently press down on the center, and you want to see if any liquid pops up. And if so, that means that the pudding in the bread pudding is not quite set yet. But you can see how it's bouncing back. We're not having any excess liquid. That means that it's done and ready to serve. Now it's time for my favorite part, the serving. So I have this here because I just whipped up some homemade whipped cream real quick. I have linked in the description our recipe for the easiest and the best homemade whipped cream, because this bread pudding is delicious topped with vanilla ice cream or whipped cream. And trust me, homemade whipped cream is 10 times better than store-bought. So for bread pudding, I like serving it in a bowl just so it's not like generally form-fitting, but you can definitely plate it if you prefer. We're just gonna put some in a bowl and then top it with your whipped cream or vanilla ice cream, or both, whatever you're craving, you do you. I would love both, but I just have the whipped cream today, so that's what I'm gonna do. All right, you're gonna serve it. You can always sprinkle some extra cinnamon on top if you would like. Ooh, look how beautiful it is already. And then it's ready to enjoy. My favorite part about this recipe is you can easily switch it up to make your own. When you're baking it in the crock pot, you can easily stir in your favorite type of nuts, some raisins, maybe add a little pumpkin pie spice to make it like festive for the fall. There's tons of ways to change up this recipe to make it your own. Now, usually when I make this, it's gone pretty fast, so I don't have to worry about leftovers, but you can keep leftovers. It will store in the refrigerator for up to about 3 to 4 days. You will want to take it out of your crock pot insert and put it in some storage containers and refrigerate it and just reheat before you enjoy it, and it'll be ready to go so you can eat on it all week long. I cannot wait any longer to try this. Thank you so much for joining me today in my sister's kitchen. I hope I inspired you to make dessert in a crock pot next time. I think you guys are going to love how easy it is and how delicious the results are as well. Do not forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more of our easy, family-friendly recipes. And also don't forget, we've linked the recipe in the description below. You can always check that post out. We have more tips and tricks on there. And then when you go there, let us know in the comments what you think about this recipe. We love hearing from you guys. All right, friends, I will see you guys next time. Bye, friends. Woo.